fairly strong believer of the policy that if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all, which is why you didn't get an update from me last week. But then I remembered that I always coach you guys to show up consistently, even when the news isn't good, if we want to earn people's trust. And I definitely do want to earn all of your trust. So I'm here with this weekly update every week to help you sound smart and have talking points for the weekend social events. So when someone asks you at happy hour or at a dinner party or at your kids' games, what's going on with the real estate market, you'll be able to carry on with an intelligent conversation, an interesting one, and maybe tell them some things they haven't heard and enlighten them on a new perspective. I've learned through experience and research that if you want to earn someone's trust, you can significantly fast track that process and jump ahead to the finish line if you just teach them something new, something they didn't already know. So my last update was, how do we operate in a market when interest rates are over 7% and inventory is tight? You can go back and check that one out if you missed it. You just go back to the email where you received this, and there's a link to previous episodes. Rates got a little higher even since that email. And although we're seeing some improvement now, today's Wednesday, and the market is currently in the green, 63 basis points for mortgage bonds, I feel like we need to dive deeper on this whole how to operate a real estate business in a higher interest rate climate. And I feel like we need to do that for a couple reasons. It seems like we'll be dealing with higher interest rates for a little longer than any of us would have hoped or planned for. Secondly, interest rates went from record lows in 2020 and 2021 to now a 20-year high in 2023. Those are two very wild extremes to happen in a pretty short time span, just 2 years. And the effects of that kind of volatility are widespread. And third, many buyers who don't qualify right now would be our dream referrals and our dream clients and the leads that we consider gold in a different interest rate climate. People who make a very good living right now and have a sizable down payment in the bank don't qualify in the price range they want to shop in, or they're just not willing to make that monthly payment. So basically what I'm trying to say is that it's not just first-time home buyers who are struggling right now. Even those of us who work with buyers in higher price points and sellers in higher price points, we're seeing them face challenges too. So here's an interesting fact we should all be considering. An April U.S. News and World Report survey showed that 66% of buyers were waiting until interest rates come down. And we know that since April, they have not come down. We know that when they do go down, that 66% is going to have a different set of challenges, because the majority of that 66% is going to jump in and try to buy the same house that you're trying to buy. We know all of that. We really do know it. That's why I've been trying to reach as much of that 66% as possible right now and tell them not to wait and to use these strategies that we know about to succeed even in this market. To just not wait, right? I've been trying to reach them, all those people in that 66% who say they're waiting. But as interest rates topped 7%, and I went through yet a whole new tier of buyers who've been priced out, I realized that a good portion of that 66% maybe doesn't want to wait anymore, isn't choosing to wait, isn't sitting on the sidelines with a bad attitude. They actually have to wait. Not everyone. And when interest rates creep higher, that does tend to make sellers more likely to negotiate, right? So we know that as interest rates are a little bit higher, we can deploy our seller concession tactics and we can try to negotiate a better deal on the financing side rather than on the price. But all of those tools aside, how do we, as real estate professionals, deal with the fact that significantly more than half of our lead, significantly more than half of our database cannot take action right now? How do you run a business when things are like that? We could disappear, right? Many of you have probably considered it, though you didn't say it to yourself like that. You told yourself that people don't want to be marketed to or sold real estate right now because they know the market is shit. You don't want them to think that you're some sleazeball trying to sell them an overpriced home with an insanely high mortgage payment just so you can make a buck. I know you don't want that. You definitely don't want them to think that your business is struggling and you're desperate, and that's why you're showing up in the realm of consciousness. But wait, let me just play devil's advocate here for 1 second. Is it possible that if you only show up with advice and real estate tips and valuable information for them when the market is great, that your sphere might start to think you're a fair weather realtor? Is it possible that they might think, oh, this market got too tough for them, so they dipped? Is it possible that if you aren't showing up, they're assuming you're hiding? Like these conditions are your fault? Everybody wants someone to blame, right? You've probably already guessed that my advice was not going to be to sit down and shut up. You probably didn't guess that I actually considered doing that myself. Just for a split second. I'll tell you what I am going to do. I'm reaching out to all my pre-approved clients and letting them know what payments look like right now in their price range. I'm letting them know, even if it's not a fun conversation, if they no longer qualify in that price range given current interest rates. And then, and this is the most important part, I'm going deep on the numbers with them and running through the scenarios on what interest rates will need to be in order for that payment to be back in their comfort zone and in order for them to qualify where they want to shop. You know why? It gives them a target. It gives them something to look towards. People always do better when they have a plan. Folks feel a lot less like defeated underdogs in the real estate market when they know what their strategy is going to be. They aren't quitting. They're just watching for the right opportunity now. When interest rates hit this point, they'll know it's their time to shine again. They don't need to wait for interest rates to come down when every other buyer is going to be in the market making an offer on the same house that they want. They need to watch, with my guidance, for a very specific number in terms of interest rates, and then they know it's their time to strike. In the meantime, I'm giving them any advice I can on how to optimize their loan profile. Can we boost their credit? Can they save a little more each paycheck? Can they pick up more hours or shifts? Is there a side hustle that they could start spending their energy on and that they could set that money aside then towards their moving expenses? Loan programs. Do you want to go over those again? Do you want to go over the pros and cons of each one so we can make sure you really understand them? You can feel confident about your decision when the time comes. Can we even just start going through your house and getting rid of some of the shit that we don't need to pack when it's time to move? What can we do now to make the process less stressful later? So my advice for all of you as realtors watching this would be to have your clients connect with the lender who will run through all that information with them, who is extremely well-versed on the economic updates that are coming out every single week and how they're expected to move the market and in turn affect interest rates. If they can explain this to your buyers, so your buyers will understand that there's a lot at play right now, they are not the only ones struggling, and that this isn't happening only to them, I think that your buyers will feel better. And then your clients need a lender who will help them figure out when the time is going to be right for them and how to make sure they don't miss it and what to do in the meantime. Then my second piece of advice, which isn't a shameless plug for myself, would be to think of how you can support your own leads who can't take action right now. I had to sit down and think this week about what I was going to do with all those people. And I came up with what I just shared with you. What can you do to help your sellers prepare for when the market will be right for them to make a move? What could you do for your buyers to support them right now and help them feel less like an underdog? It's worth some thought, and I think you'll come up with some great ideas.